The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Chapter 10 Terrain Summary. Sun Tzu devotes this chapter to a study of the ground, or terrain, on which a battle may be fought. However, in so doing, he often shifts focus from the physical terrain itself to the effects of those conditions on different psychological grounds. Sun Tzu explains that terrains may be classified as one or a combination of 6 distinctive types. These types are accessible, entrapping, temporizing, narrow passes, precipitous heights, and distant. 1. Accessible ground, ground that both you and your opponent can easily traverse. To be victorious, you must occupy this ground before your enemy. 2. Entrapping ground, ground that is difficult to reoccupy once you abandon it. Thus, if you're battling an enemy on such terrain and you lose, it will be difficult for you to return to attempt victory once more. 3. Temporizing ground, ground on which neither side has an advantage. Even if your enemy tempts you to engage in battle on such terrain, refrain. 4. Narrow passes. Only enter such passes if you're the first to occupy them, and then strongly garrison them in weight of your opponent. If your opponent has gotten there before you, don't enter. 5. Precipitous heights. Try to occupy the highest sunny spots and wait for your enemy to march upwards to meet you. If your enemy has occupied such a spot before you, retreat and entice them away. 6. Distant. Positions at a great distance from your opponent. If both armies are of equal size and situated far from each other, a battle will not be easily provoked. Thus, it's essential to avoid drawing out a long, weary march to meet your enemy, as your troops will be weary, and you will be at a disadvantage. Sun Tzu turns his attention to disasters that cannot be blamed on natural surroundings, but instead on faulty leadership. The dangers inherent in a general's weakness or indecision has just as much influence on the readiness of troops to fight as the conditions of the terrain. This holds true of all subcommanders and officers relative to the units they command. The link must be as strong on one side as it is on the other, because even a valiant officer cannot make up for a poorly trained unit, and a well-trained unit cannot overcome poor leadership. When the general is morally weak and his discipline not strict. When the formations are slovenly, the army is in disorder. It is up to the general to catch and correct problems within the ranks, ensuring that the entire body of his fighting force has the same goals and consistency of discipline. The reference to the disorder of an army is one of several implied allusions to family structure. Everyone in a family contributes to the running of the large household according to their abilities. An army works the same as a family. Sun Tzu recommends the formation of elite troops for special operations that require efficiency, speed, and a vanguard sharp point. He described the elite corps of fighters, leapers, and agitators, with expertise in acrobatic swordplay that would simultaneously encourage their fellow troops and distract the enemy troops with their uncommon skill and ferocity. Sun Tzu concluded with 6 conditions a general must remain vigilant against, as they are signs of defeat. Sometimes an army is exposed to calamities, not arising from natural causes, but from faults for which the general is responsible. These are flight, insubordination, collapse, ruin, disorganization, and rout. 1. Flight. If one force is hurled against another 10 times its size, the result will be the flight of the former. 2. Insubordination. When the common soldiers are too strong and their officers too weak, the result is insubordination. 3. Collapse. When the officers are too strong and the common soldiers too weak, the result is collapse. 4. Ruin. When the higher officers are angry and insubordinate, and engaging the enemy under a feeling of resentment for their own commander, the result is ruin. 5. Disorganization. When the general is weak and without authority. When his orders are not clear and distinct. When there are no fixed duties assigned to officers and men, and the ranks are formed in a slovenly haphazard manner. The result is utter disorganization. 6. Rout. When a general, unable to estimate the enemy's strength, allows an inferior force to engage a larger one, or hurls a weak detachment against a powerful one, and neglects to place picked soldiers in the front rank, the result must be rout. Lastly, Sun Tzu reminds us that, if we regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys, look on them as your own beloved sons, and they will stand by you even unto death.